It's that time, folks. It's your board game dessert time. It's time for some game pie. Game pie is when Mandi and I serve up a selection of games based on our excellent taste and our whims. Because we don't like ranking things like top fives, but we do love filling up baked goods with lovely, lovely things. And it's been a while since we did digital. The game pie of the week is digital games that we would like to see made into board games, with things like Jetpack Hero and Slay the Spire recently, which has been a massive hit, which was, Slay the Spire, of course, is a video game that takes some board game deck card building, mechanisms and makes it into a video game and then comes back. So we've got a list full of board games, digital games that we'd like to be made into real board games.
And I feel like one of mine's a bit of a cheat, but it just happened, okay? So I'm just going to jump in. My first slice of, video games that we'd like to see as board game pie.
There's a reason, like twist
I don't know why
my
brain just won't get it. Anyway, you get where I'm going with it, is Terraria. Now, I know what you're all saying. Ooh, Terraria. Yes, I know. It was recently on crowdfunding, but this is recent, okay? Terraria has been around for a long time. I don't know if this is something you've played, Suzanne, at all, this game. Okay, so you have...
actually, my kiddo plays it a ton.
Right?
So, yeah.
It's just one of those games that are really simple. You're digging, you're finding resources, you're fighting off baddies. I mean, that simple explanation right there probably describes a lot of board games, because, digging could be like tile laying, and then, found a bouncer, so like a dungeon crawl kind of thing. Anyway, I actually haven't even looked at the crowdfunding campaign, so who knows? Maybe I've tapped into what they're doing already. So Terraria for me is one I think, it's already becoming a board game. I think will work well as a board game.
It just means you're prophetic. Like you know what it is. What I noticed about Terraria is it starts out really simple. It gets really complex. Like
Absolutely.
The level that my son reached was just bananas. Anyway. First slice up for me of a video game I'd love to be made into a board game is Backpack Hero. Backpack Hero is a dungeon delve game, a roguelike game, and you take a character and they get a backpack that you can fill with all sorts of different items, and then you go through the dungeon and you have different encounters. You have things like shops for upgrades and new items and things like that, but then you encounter different levels of enemies. It's you line up, and then maybe you'll have a boss or some support characters, and then the order that you and your support characters are in will impact who takes the damage and that kind of thing. But really what it is it's this backpack management where you get items and they all are in polyomino shapes as tiles. So you have swords, and maybe a sword takes a 1x3 slice of your backpack, or you can have a shield that maybe takes a 2x2 space, or you can have a helmet that takes a 1x1 space, or a healing potion that takes a 1x1 space, and that kind of thing. So you've got this backpack, and when you encounter the battles, you are clicking on these things. They have energy that requires use and things like that. You can upgrade them, all that good stuff. I love the video game, but I really do think that the encounters and the backpack management could be made into a really fun actual board game.
Do you sing backpack while you're
playing? I totally do.
Yes. I was doing that.
Yes.
So my second slice of pie is a game, honestly, at first glance, I didn't think I would even like, but it was gifted to me, and I started playing with it, and I was having a lot of fun with it. And it's called Satisfactory. And it legitimately kind of has that board game vibe to it, because in the game, I guess it would be more of like an engine building game. So you would do the same in like a board game. You have nothing, a land of nothing, and you're trying to gain resources and things to, build up the land, and then take basic resources and turn them into better resources. So starting from, ground type things, turning them into, bigger items, and going from coal, not saying you're going and getting diamonds and things here, but you get what I'm saying, like better things to make better products and so forth. And you have to build machinery to do this. You have to be able to afford the machinery to do this. And then you also have to explore the lands a little bit more, which can also be dangerous because, there are things living there that, hey, this is our land, hit the bricks. So they're going to come for you. And, you have to come to an agreement. Okay, well, that's not really what happens, but you kind of like spreading your area into other parts of the land, and you may meet some resistance from some of the animals that are living there. So Satisfactory for me already sounds like games that possibly already exist, but I definitely think it would be very easy to turn into like an engine building and then with some conflict type of game.
I haven't played Satisfactory, but that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the board game. So excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
thanks.
Next slice up for me is Battle of Polytopia.
Oh.
This is a game that's been around for years and years and years, and it's essentially an area control game in which you get a faction and then you can play against any number of other factions. There's probably a dozen different factions you can pick from, and they're different thematically, and then they have different units and different ways you can upgrade them and move and strengths and weaknesses and that kind of thing. Ultimately, you've got this board, this world essentially, and you've got a little area and your enemy has a little area, but then in the middle it's all just unknown territory. So you're moving your little units around, exploring, revealing things that you can then deal with or take advantage of, collecting resources, taking actions, growing buildings to strengthen your units, that kind of thing. And you're just trying to grow and build up so that once you start getting to where your enemy is and you encounter them, then you battle it out and you try to take over their territory. And the video game usually lasts in a certain amount of rounds, and then you want to have control, which I think would translate very, very well to a board game with the area control and the revealing with tiles you could do, the units you could upgrade. I think it would be really, really fun. And I even want them to keep the art style because it's this very low poly count little cubey people that I think are adorable. So Battle of Polytopia, I think it would make a great board game.
I mean, sounds super fun. I've never even heard of this game, so now
I've spent a lot of time in Battle of Polytopia.
Okay, I have to go look at this now. So my third slice of video games I'd like to see possibly into a board game. And this one is a little stretch, but I think it would be fun. And it's called Paper Trail. So this game is actually, you can find it on Netflix. If you have a Netflix account, you can play it for free on the gaming side of that. And then you can also find it online to play on PC and that sort of thing. And it's a puzzle type game with, a bit of a story. And in the game, you're folding paper to get to specific areas of the board. So, for example, if I need to go from one end of the board to another end of the board, I'm like, oh, there's a big space there. I have to fold the paper in a certain way, which may reveal a path that connects and it lets me move to the next side of the board. But the puzzles get increasingly more difficult as you progress. Like there'll be rocks or something in the place that you can't fold the paper. If you're on the paper, you're like, but wait, I have to move off the paper to be able to fold it a certain way. And you can fold like corners, halfway, like, sideways, all kinds of ways to get the pathing. But sometimes you'll fold it and then you'll have to move down the path, but you have to move a rock because you can't get past the rock and the paper's not going to fold over the rock. So you got to move the rock. Anyway, it's a whole thing and it sounds like super complicated, but it's a lot of fun. So I played on my iPad just with the pen or whatever, and I'll use it to like move the paper and things like that. Use your finger, it doesn't really matter. But I think it would be like an interesting kind of game that you could play as a puzzle game because, I mean, we have exit games and stuff where you like, rip and whatever. But
yeah, and there are games like out of Korea board games, they do fold it, which, you're trying to match, here's a menu and it's printed on a cloth sheet that everybody has and you're literally folding. So I totally could see where that would happen. That would be really cool.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun. The art in this one is specifically like, it looks super, super cute, and I would love if they actually kept it. I think it's fun. So Paper Trail, if you haven't tried the digital version, hey, maybe they'll make it into a board game.
I love this list because now I've got another game I've never heard of or played Paper Trail, but it sounds
I think you'll really like right before bed or something. It's quite fun.
Totally love it. All right, my next slice of pie for a video game that I want to have made into a board game, Cobalt Core. Ooh. This is a roguelike deck builder set in space with cute anthropomorphic animals. That there's a whole storyline where they've got amnesia and they can't remember, so you're also unfolding their story, which is very, very cute. But at its core, you have different ships that you can equip different ways and have different things like that. And then you can crew it, and every crew member has a different approach to battle,
Right.
and that's how they impact it in a different set of cards that you can draw from. But when you get your hand of cards, that's going to impact everything from how your ship can move and what actions it can take, whether it's putting up shields, firing different kinds of weaponry, all sorts of different options. Because you're going to go, your ship's going to come up, and then you're going to face off against an enemy ship that has different designs, because sometimes ships have blank areas, some they have reinforced areas, that kind of thing, and they're going to be shooting things at you that you're dealing with. It's a super, like, I love this video game. It is an excellent deck builder video game, because again, you've got cards that are controlling all these actions, and you can upgrade the cards and things like that and get new ones. So it really is a deck builder, but the mechanisms with the ship battles and things like that, and the mix and matching of the crews so that you can get various builds, it really works. And I think it would make a fabulous board game. So that's Cobalt Core. Check out the video game, make it into a board game.
It's on my list. I have it. I bought it. I just haven't played it yet.
Oh, yeah, it's
So I'll get to it eventually. And you know what? I'm also surprised I haven't seen a ton of deck builders. Usually those are like the easiest ones to kind of pull from. You know what I mean? Because it's obviously it's like board gaming stuff, but our list I feel like doesn't have a ton of that. So it's good. Gives the people some variety. And my last slice of video games I like to see as board game pie is a game called A Little to the Left. And I'm excited because Suzanne's pick also, I think, will kind of
I
fall
just
into
realized
this.
that. I'm like, oh, we are so in sync. This is amazing.
Yes, it's so good. So again, this would probably be, I actually picture this game being like a polyomino puzzle type game. So I don't know, for those of you who haven't played A Little to the Left, it's one of those games where it is a puzzle, but they're not complicated. You'll get something like 4 pencils on the screen, right? And they may be slightly different color or whatever the case may be. And it's just putting them in a specific order. And then it'll be like, oh, you've won the puzzle. That's a very easy one. Or you'll have one that has a whole bunch of leaves, different colors. There might be different cutout shapes on them. It might be putting them on top of each other in a specific sequence so the pattern makes sense. Just things like that. So, pattern recognition, puzzle. I totally think that would be great in some kind of polyomino, maybe having some that are like transparent or things like that. I don't know. I'm throwing some really random ideas out here, but I think A Little to the Left would be a really fun, light, potentially could be a little crunchy depending on how you play it, but A Little to the Left I think would be a good one.
Well, I love that choice for so many reasons, including the fact that it aligns so well with my last slice of pie, because I chose Unpacking. Unpacking is a cozy little, very open game. You open up the game and you're going to get an isometric room and a bunch of moving boxes. And you're going to click on them and you're going to open these boxes and objects are going to fly out of it. And then you have to arrange the objects in the room. And maybe you go through the door and there's a bathroom over there. And then there's a kitchen on the other side and here. And it's like, well, where does that teddy bear go? Where does this journal go? Where do these crayons go? That kind of thing. And you're building out the room, trying to put everything kind of where it belongs. But you do get some latitude in how that, maybe the teddy bear goes on the bed or maybe it goes on the chair. Your choice. It doesn't matter. It's just a very cozy, pleasant game. And I think that just like you had ideas around A Little to the Left, Mandi, I think that there are ways you can make this into a very pleasant board game, whether it's through tile placement or even a roll and write.
Oh, for sure.
Mandi, where you're drawing things.
Absolutely.
I can see that really being amazing for Unpacking. Or I really want a board game to use color forms. Do you know what color forms are?
I feel like I do, but
vinyl. They're the old game or toy that we had like decades ago.
Yeah.
And they're vinyl stickers, and you get a board, a shiny board, and you could just put the vinyl stickers, and then they just peel right off. They're not,
Yeah.
And I think Unpacking with little vinyl stickers that you could arrange on your board would be fun. Really fun.
I feel like we're giving out so many ideas here.
Seriously, we gotta start it totally makes sense right now, more than ever, for us to start a publisher to make these games, right?
Exactly.
Anyway, honestly, this was a super fun list to do. We haven't done digital games in a while, which we'll probably do a few more of these lists because digital games and video games and then digital board games are continuing to grow
Yeah.
as a sector of the video game market, and they're super fun to talk about. So
Absolutely.
but I could have filled up this list with a bunch more games, to be honest.
Me too. Absolutely.
And if you're listening and watching this right now, chances are you have some ideas too, and I would love to hear them.
Yes.
You can always email us with your thoughts on our picks, any questions on our picks, or any ones that you think would make, any video games you think would make a great board game. You can email us at saltandsassgames@gmail.com. Or you can comment on our episode thread on our Board Game Geek Guild. That's Guild 4131, and we'll have a little episode summary. And please chime in with video games that you think would make really great board games, because we've got some evidence now that it's, we've got what? Not Elden Ring, but we've got Elder Scrolls. And we've got
Dead
that
Cells
kind
just
of thing.
came out.
Mass Effect. So big.
Yeah.
Epic video games, and then we've got things like Slay the Spire, which is also a big game, but a card game, all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got a lot of stuff going on that could be cool. Or you can always reach out to us on the socials.
Oh yes, the socials. I don't know why it always comes to me, and I'm like what? Oh, it's me.
Every episode.
I know, right? You think I'm used to this by now. So if you're potentially you're watching us right now, and you'll find us on YouTube, but we also do some streaming on Twitch, and you can find us at Salt and Sass Games. We are going to have a change coming up. So for the socials for Salt and Sass, you're probably going to find us at Blue Sky. And you know what? I did not have this at the ready. But the ending for Blue Sky is a little bit longer now. So look, I'm just going to say go with Salt and Sass because it's like a .bsky. It's a little bit longer, but we will be moving to Blue Sky. So look out for that. You can find me on, we'll say most of the socials, but as of late, it'll be Blue Sky, Instagram are probably my main ones at 613 Mandi, and that's Mandi with an I. How about you, Suzanne?
And you can find me on all the socials still, but Blue Sky has exploded in the last week for board gaming. It's amazing.
You repeat again.
And you can find me on all the socials, but mostly Blue Sky, because it has exploded, especially for the board game community in the last week alone. So even since last episode, the community on Blue Sky has just gone wham. So I don't know. It's kind of the place to be if you use social media for board gaming. But you can find me all those places at 425 Suzanne. Take care of yourselves, stay warm, stay hydrated, and play a lot of games. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.